King Charles III authorized in those hours was not punishment. It was clarification. The final financial linkage between Prince Harry and the crown was severed.
Behind palace walls, emotions are running high, loyalties are shifting, and decades of silent resentment may finally be exploding into public view. Prince Harry is reportedly furious after learning that his brother, Prince William, has frozen a staggering $14 million inheritance tied to royal trusts. So, is this about control, punishment, or an unspoken royal rule being enforced behind palace walls? Has the royal feud reached a point of no return? Join us as we uncover Prince William's shocking move to freeze Prince Harry's inheritance. Prince William moves to block Harry's inheritance. In an official announcement released by Buckingham Palace, the royal family confirmed that Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, has long been named as the chosen recipient of a major inheritance from the estate of his late mother, Princess Diana. This arrangement, quietly put in place many years ago, was designed to support charitable causes that reflected Diana's lifelong devotion to compassion, healing, and service to others. According to palace records, this provision was first outlined in a private addition to Diana's will dated September 1996, and later reinforced through a sealed letter of wishes written in January 1993 and reviewed by her legal advisors. The documents clearly state that the funds were meant to support projects focused on the physical and emotional recovery of people who served their countries and suffered as a result. The palace statement made special mention of Prince Harry's work with the Invictus Games.
To do some form of therapy, or at least be able to talk more about
the international sporting event he founded for wounded, injured, and sick service members and veterans. Sources say Diana once described the Games as the true expression of what our family should stand for, adding that healing through dignity and honor mattered more than titles or wealth. But just as the world began to reflect on the emotional weight of this inheritance, a darker reality surfaced behind palace doors. Prince William is reportedly doing everything in his power to stop the money from being released. Confidential sources close to Kensington Palace claim that Prince William, who has been acting sovereign since January 1st, has moved quickly to block access to the trust's main payout. The inheritance is estimated to be worth more than $22 million in adjusted value as of the start of the 2026 fiscal year. A document filed on January 9th with the Privy Council chamber confirms that William formally requested a discretionary freeze, describing the inheritance as a compromised bequest. Those close to the situation say this goes far beyond sibling tension. During a closed-door family meeting at Windsor on January 10th, William is reported to have declared, "Over my dead body."
And I felt, you're losing people every single time you have those headlines. We all get that there's a really big urgent message, and I'm not...
He allegedly argued that this was not about charity at all, but about funding what he called a personal crusade that went against everything their mother stood for. William's inner circle claims the issue lies in how Harry plans to use the money. They allege that only part would go to the Invictus Games, while the rest would be set aside for personal legal protection and financial independence. In William's view, that crosses a line and betrays Diana's original intention. Palace aides have also leaked concerns that the request is a quiet attempt to stabilize the Sussex household after years of financial strain in the United States. And recent figures appear to support those fears. Financial reports from a California-based watchdog group, along with leaked records from Archewell's former accounting firm, which severed ties in October 2025, paint a troubling picture. Spotify ended its contract with Harry and Meghan in June 2023, cutting off nearly $20 million in expected income. Netflix paused all unscripted projects after missing production targets. Meanwhile, security expenses for the Sussex family reportedly exceed $3.4 million per year, and their California home, purchased in 2020 for $14.6 million, still carries a high-interest mortgage with more than $12 million outstanding. Meghan Markle's lifestyle brand, launched quietly in October 2025, is now under investigation in multiple regions over alleged misuse of royal-associated branding. With public interest fading and income streams shrinking, insiders warn that Harry may face a serious cash crisis within 6 months. This is no longer about honoring his mother, one former Archwell board member said anonymously. This is about survival. In December 2022, Harry and Meghan released a Netflix documentary that openly accused senior members of the royal family of unconscious racial bias.
I can safely say from my experience and all the travelling that I've done.
And failing to protect them. Then, in January 2023, Harry's memoir Spare described William as emotionally aggressive and included claims of a physical fight between the brothers. Around the same time, Harry's lawsuits against British tabloids began to reference private royal messages, raising concerns about how sensitive information was being used and where ethical lines were being crossed. In July 2025, emails revealed during a United States federal investigation into the Archwell Foundation's tax records suggested that Princess Diana's jewelry had been used as collateral for a private loan. William reportedly reacted strongly, calling this act a form of spiritual theft. Now, with Diana's inheritance set for review on February 2, 2026, just 1 month before Harry's 42th birthday, William is pushing for a change to how the inheritance is managed. William is asking for a protective trust arrangement. If approved, the inheritance would be held in the United Kingdom under a secondary trust. Harry would only be allowed to receive interest from the funds, not the main amount, and even that would require trustee approval. The person with the final say would be Charles Spencer, 9th Earl Spencer, Diana's brother and the executor of her estate. This places him in an extremely difficult position.
And well, it wasn't a difficult decision in the end. It's what I wanted. It's what I want.
At Althorpe House, where Diana is buried on an island in the Oval Lake, Lord Spencer is reportedly reviewing sealed court documents, private messages between the brothers, and legal opinions from 2 royal advisory councils. His choice is stark. Support William, the future king and protector of royal stability, or support Harry, the grieving son, decorated soldier, founder of the Invictus Games, and the part of Diana that resisted the system. What is at stake is not just money, but Diana's legacy. And in the coming days, that legacy will be tested by law, loyalty, and the deep wounds between 2 brothers. Sources close to Prince William insist this is not personal revenge. This is about protecting Diana's name, one Privy Council aide said. In William's view, recent events have made Harry unfit to carry that responsibility. And this belief, insiders say, is driving one of the deepest royal rifts in modern history. Yet documents from Princess Diana's estate tell a more complex story. So what do these documents contain? Let's find out. Princess Diana's Letter of Wishes. At the center of this dispute is a handwritten letter dated August 15, 1993, written by Princess Diana and titled a Letter of Wishes, clearly naming Harry as a moral guardian of her legacy. It was stored under seal by her legal advisor, Sir Reginald Mortimer of Mortimer and Glover LLP. The letter was never made public, though it was quietly acknowledged during a 2003 estate review. Now, it has become a powerful tool for William and a major obstacle for Harry. In the letter, Diana expressed a simple but emotional hope. She wrote that any wealth she left behind should heal rather than harm, unite rather than divide, and that her sons should use it for service, not luxury. She specifically mentioned supporting veterans, people suffering from mental trauma, and families affected by violence. However, the letter was not legally binding. It was a wish, not a rule. William's legal team argues that this letter provides moral authority to limit Harry's access to the inheritance under the Family Settlements Act of 1925.
It happened a few weeks ago, earlier this month, here at our cottage.
They claim a lump sum payment could damage the family's reputation or unity. This is where the conflict deepens. Harry believes he is honoring his mother's wishes through projects like the Invictus Games. William believes the opposite. He argues that Harry has used Diana's legacy for personal and commercial gain. Royal officials have reportedly compiled a detailed record to support this claim. It includes the December 2022 Netflix series, The January 2023 memoir, a reported Netflix project in mid-2025 based loosely on Diana's final days, and the August 2025 tax filings involving Diana's jewelry. Charles Spencer's role is becoming increasingly important. Though silent in public, he holds legal power alongside the estate's investment managers. The Spencer Trust, originally worth about £12 million in 1997, has reportedly grown to roughly £23.6 million through investments. Harry's share, once expected to be around £10 million, may now be restricted under the proposed trust arrangement. Under British inheritance law, assets can be delayed or restructured if a beneficiary is considered a financial or reputational risk. William insists this is not punishment, but protection. For Harry, it feels like a betrayal. Princess Diana's legacy is once again under intense scrutiny. This time, it is not about statues or documentaries, but locked funds and legal control.
Schumann and all my family, my side of the family, are very music orientated, and that's where I picked it up from. I love it.
According to reports, during a closed meeting on January 5, 2026, William reacted strongly when told a full transfer to Harry was being considered, saying it would happen over my dead body. To outsiders, the words sound cruel. Inside royal circles, they are seen as the response of a future king who feels under threat, not from distant enemies, but from his own brother. And at the center of it all is William's deepest fear, one that now shapes every move he makes. Under California's community property laws, money and property gained during a marriage can quietly change ownership. Even an inheritance which normally belongs to just one person can become shared if it is mixed with marital finances. In simple terms, if Prince Harry were to use Princess Diana's inheritance to pay the mortgage on the Montecito mansion, renovate the house, or invest in a business together with Meghan Markle, a court could later decide that this money is no longer his alone. It could be labeled as joint property. If a divorce were ever to happen, possibility still unproven, yet softly whispered about behind palace doors, Meghan could legally be entitled to half of what remains of Diana's fortune. To Prince William, this idea is unbearable. To him, it is not just a legal risk, but a violation of his mother's legacy. As he reportedly told advisors and trustees, "I will not allow my mother's emeralds to become bargaining chips in a divorce."
It is the most vulnerable, those with the fewest resources, and those who have done the least to cause climate change.
Because of this fear, William's legal team is pushing strongly for a protective trust. This structure would let Harry receive income from the inheritance, such as interest or limited benefits, but would prevent him from touching the core assets themselves. Harry would not be able to sell Diana's jewelry, access personal archives, or liquidate property. He would also be barred from using the money to pay for lawsuits, public relations teams, or personal financial battles. Any major use of the assets would require written approval from the Spencer family trustees and, in effect, William's legal representatives. From William's point of view, this is not about punishment. He sees it as guardianship, a duty to protect their mother's legacy from being divided, diluted, or lost. But for Harry, the situation feels very different. It feels like being treated as untrustworthy, stripped of control, and quietly reminded of how far he has fallen financially. What William calls protection, Harry experiences as humiliation, especially as the pressure of his current financial reality continues to close in around him. How is Harry's financial status of recent? Let's take a closer look. Harry's financial struggles. As of January 2026, Prince Harry's personal finances are on shaky ground. What once looked like a golden post-royal future is now filled with uncertainty and mounting pressure. His highly publicized Spotify podcast deal,
on a phone and can be going down these rabbit holes, and before you know it, within 24 hours they could be
valued at $20 million, came to an abrupt end after the platform said the show failed to meet expectations and suffered from creative clashes. Netflix, which initially dangled a massive $100 million deal, has reportedly put all future projects on hold, waiting to see if the Sussexes can deliver another original success before moving forward. At the same time, Harry's expenses have only grown heavier. After losing official royal protection, his private security bill is estimated at about $2.6 million per year, a cost that is now being paid from savings that are steadily shrinking. The lavish Montecito mansion, once a symbol of freedom and fresh beginnings, carries a mortgage of more than $14 million, with large balloon payments expected later this year. On top of that, legal fees continue to pile up as Harry pushes forward with lawsuits against the Mail, the Sun, and other British tabloids, with appeals dragging on and no quick end in sight. Put simply, Harry is running out of room to breathe financially. The safety net beneath him is thinning fast. This is why Princess Diana's inheritance has taken on a new meaning. It is no longer just about memories, love, or honoring his mother's legacy. To Harry, it has become a lifeline, and according to those close to the Spencer family, his efforts to secure it have grown more urgent and emotional. Instead of going through his uncle Charles Spencer, who co-manages Diana's estate, Harry has reportedly gone around him. He reached out directly to his aunts, Lady Sarah McCorquodale and Baroness Jane Fellows, asking for their help. In these private appeals, Harry is said to have spoken from the heart. He reminded them of Diana's kindness, her deep compassion, and her hopes for causes like the Invictus Games. He even recalled a promise she once whispered to him as a child, that no matter what the crown decided, he would always have something of hers. By leaning into these memories, Harry hopes to soften old lines, shift family loyalties, or at least crack the united front that Prince William has worked hard to maintain. Even within the Spencer family, worry is starting to grow. Earl Spencer had originally promised to treat both his nephews fairly, but sources say he has been quietly shaken by recent revelations. Internal records show that Archwell corporate credit cards were used to buy luxury items meant for charity auctions. A leaked email from 2024 reveals Sussex aides discussing possible documentaries using unreleased recordings of Princess Diana. Investigative journalists also found that a 2025 expense report included a six-figure payment to a PR firm known for aggressive attacks on royal press offices. These discoveries have left trustees deeply concerned. Some fear that Diana's legacy is slowly drifting away from what she intended. William's team seems to be counting on this uncertainty, a gradual loss of trust in Harry's ability to protect the legacy responsibly. Meanwhile, the original goals of the inheritance remain in limbo. The £10 million set aside to expand the Invictus Games into Asia and Latin America is still frozen, even though several veteran organizations support the project. The Trust's lawyers, led by Sir Reginald Mortimer, are carefully weighing both legal rules and moral responsibilities. The estate was never meant to fuel conflict, Sir Reginald said in a rare public statement. It was meant to spread compassion. Our job is to make sure it benefits the right future, not just the loudest voices of today. Why has William and Harry's relationship been at cross edge? Let's find out. The shocking truth behind William and Harry. Relationship. Prince William and Harry's feud began around 2018 when Harry married American actress Meghan Markle. Not long after, Harry and Meghan announced their decision to step back from official royal duties and move to the United States. This decision put enormous strain on Harry and William's bond. Tensions deepened with Harry and Meghan's partnership with Netflix, culminating in their highly publicized 2021 interview with Oprah Winfrey. Their strained relationship was on full display just months ago during Queen Elizabeth's Platinum Jubilee in June, when insiders described their interactions as frosty. Now, at Balmoral, the brothers reunited for the first time since the Jubilee. For those hoping for a heartwarming reunion, the reality was less comforting. According to sources close to the family, William and Harry were civil, but the rift between them has not healed. The atmosphere in the castle was solemn and heavy with grief. Harry left Balmoral early the next day and was expected to stay in Windsor until the funeral. Meghan Markle, initially thought to be joining him, ultimately did not attend, a decision that wasn't unusual, as William's wife, Kate, also did not attend. Some reports speculated that Meghan might not have been warmly welcomed by the wider family, further complicating matters. Sources reveal that William is still deeply hurt and angry over past events. There are things you just don't do. one insider said. Harry has crossed that line. Others have warned that the damage may be permanent. One source told Us Weekly that William doesn't know who Harry is anymore, and that trust between the brothers is shattered. Harry's announcement of a personal memoir, expected to delve deeply into royal family matters, has only fueled the tension. According to reports, the family, and William in particular, intended to avoid contact with Harry and Meghan until the book's release, fearing that private conversations could be exploited. Royal biographer Angela Levin told The Sun that the brothers may have lost the chance to truly trust each other again. Yet there is a silver lining. Harry's relationship with his father, King Charles III, appears to be more stable. In his first public address as king, Charles warmly acknowledged his son and daughter-in-law, expressing love for Harry and Meghan as they continue to build their life overseas. Despite the rifts and the grief, there are glimpses of family bonds that endure, even in the face of deep divides. How was William and Harry growing up like? Let's take a closer look. Prince William and Harry. Childhood struggles. Growing up is never easy. It is awkward, confusing, and often painful, as every child learns to navigate the shifting tides of their own emotions, friendships, and emerging sense of self. But growing up in front of the world with every mistake, every tear, and every awkward step examined and judged by millions is a level of scrutiny almost no child should endure. For Princes William and Harry, the challenges of adolescence were magnified exponentially, and the grief of losing their mother, Princess Diana, at such a young age turned their childhood into a complex and often painful journey. In 1997, when William was just 15 and Harry only 12, the world was stunned when Diana passed away in a car crash in Paris. The tragedy shocked people across the globe, creating waves of sorrow that seemed almost impossible for two young boys to bear. Their mother's death was not something private. It became a global spectacle. They witnessed millions of strangers mourning her loss, flooding the streets with flowers, candles, and tearful vigils. As Harry later described it, it's like an earthquake ran through the house, through your life, and everything. It took me a while to actually let it sink in. Diana's funeral, broadcast live to millions, was one of the most watched events in history. It was a public display of grief on a scale almost unimaginable, and it placed an enormous weight on two children who were already struggling to understand the loss of the person they loved most in the world. Harry reflected in later years that no child should ever be asked to endure such a moment under any circumstances, and William himself remembered the peculiar feeling of seeing strangers wailing in the streets for someone they had never personally met. It was a surreal experience, both magical and deeply painful, and it would leave an indelible mark on both princes. Despite the overwhelming sorrow, Diana's memory became a driving force in their lives. Her sons grew into young men determined to honor her legacy, dedicating themselves to charitable work and humanitarian causes around the world, carrying forward her spirit of compassion and care. But the tragedy of Diana's death was only part of the story. The prince's early years had been complicated and turbulent long before 1997. They grew up in a household where the tensions between their parents were impossible to ignore. Their father, Prince Charles, and their mother, Diana, had a marriage filled with public and private conflict. Diana's discomfort with royal protocol and Charles's affair with Camilla Parker Bowles created a backdrop of tension, scandal, and heartbreak that the boys witnessed almost daily. Their childhood, far from the idyllic fairy tale often imagined by the public, was shaped by conflict and exposure to adult problems. When Charles and Diana separated in 1992 and later divorced in 1996, the boys remained entangled in their parents' complicated emotions and disputes. Although their school tried to protect them from the relentless tabloid scrutiny, the pressures of being royal children were unavoidable. Royal expert Dickie Arbiter once described it as taking them out of troubled waters, acknowledging the effort to shield them from the worst of the media frenzy. But even that could only go so far. Within this turbulent environment, Diana leaned on her sons in ways that went far beyond what most children could comprehend. By the time William was in his early teens, he had become his mother's closest confidant, someone she trusted to provide advice, perspective, and emotional support. According to Tina Brown in her book, The Palace Papers, Diana referred to William as "my little wife, wise old man," a testament to the unusual responsibility placed on a child far too young to bear such burdens. He attended events with her, kept track of tabloid rumors, and offered a listening ear when she needed guidance. This role, while deepening the bond between mother and son, also placed an enormous emotional weight on William, setting him apart even from other members of his family. Biographer Sally Bedell Smith points out that by confiding so heavily in William, Diana placed a significant emotional burden on an adolescent boy, one that would shape his understanding of responsibility, grief, and family loyalty for years to come. As the eldest son and second in line to the throne, William's path was always destined to be different from that of most children. Diana understood the weight of that destiny and grieved the limitations it would impose on his life. Former BBC royal correspondent Jenny Bond has spoken about how Diana recognized that William would never experience the freedom other boys enjoyed. His choices would always be defined by duty and expectation. And yet she also saw in him the qualities of a great king, someone capable of carrying the weight of monarchy with wisdom and compassion. At the same time, Diana recognized Harry's potential in his own unique way, giving him the nickname Good King Harry, a playful but meaningful reflection of her belief in his capacity for leadership, even if his path would be very different from that of his older brother. Harry, the younger son, had a more turbulent adolescence. Known for his rebellious spirit, he often pushed boundaries in ways that attracted intense media attention. From experimenting with drugs to wild parties and rock and roll adventures, Harry developed a reputation as a teenage troublemaker, a boy living on the edge in an environment where mistakes were magnified by the press. He even entered rehab at the age of 17, a reflection of both his struggles and his determination to find a way forward. Reporters described him as volatile, detached, and prone to disappearing when he lost interest. And for a long time, Harry himself struggled to process the grief and confusion that followed his mother's death. In his memoir Spare, he reflects that it was not until his 20s that he truly began to understand better ways to cope with loss and channel his energy productively. In interviews, he has admitted that he needed to fix the mistakes of his youth, pull his head out of the sand, and learn to use his position for positive impact. While William grew into the role of his mother's confidant, Harry often felt separate from the family, isolated in ways that went beyond normal sibling differences. Speaking with Dr. Gabo Mars, he described feeling as though his body and mind were never fully in the same place, caught between personal emotions and public expectation. The constant media attention added another layer of pressure, making it nearly impossible to navigate normal teenage experiences. In a 2017 Telegraph interview, he admitted to coming close to complete breakdowns, overwhelmed by grief, lies, and the endless scrutiny of the public eye. Diana herself had understood the sense of alienation from both family and press, a connection that perhaps deepened Harry's sense of shared experience and private understanding of loss. So, what do you think about Harry's reaction after Prince William froze his inheritance? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.